Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Zach. It is Expanded Understanding, episode number 63. Thought I would start the show off with a little bit of bringing the light side to, kind of the dialectics that we have in the world and how sometimes, maybe it's blowing it out of proportion in cases, maybe it's not, of how, evasive of other people's opinions we can be sometimes. And if you really kind of like blow that out of proportion, how funny that looks. And I just think it's really beneficial humor like this to allow us to be into a space where really like we can, see the lighter side of what we're really doing, so that we can actually try and meet in the same place with other people and not really be this person that's like, validating themselves for ridiculous reasons, like pointed out inside of this video. That guy's name is JP Sears. He's been doing a lot of content for a long time. If you want to find him on Facebook, his name is Awaken with JP. He has all kinds of pretty funny videos. So you might want to check him out. And if you do, I dropped a link in the chat and you could head over and check his stuff out. Uh, he doesn't really need your support. He has like billions and billions of followers. But you can support him anyways because he's a pretty funny guy. And I really think that humor is kind of the most effective tool that we can really have to navigate reality. Like at the end of the day, we seem to be in a place where we end up engaging a lot of things that maybe in the moment of it kind of feel difficult for, to keep it easy. And if we're able to allow ourselves to utilize tools that keep us basically in a good state of mind, whether through generating laughter. I mean, realistically, neuroscience and the study of the chemicals that our brain produces when things happen, when there are various impulses, has shown that even by just like literally faking this laughter, we can create the chemical response. So really, just the benefit of being able to laugh at yourself or really at what's happening in reality, and kind of, I personally do this really just by kind of seeing the ridiculousness of it all. And I think that applies to everyone, but it applies to people differently based off of what their perspective of reality is. The reason why I go after the function is because it's not really a conversation about, well, as the video illustrates, whether the left or the right is correct. It's really more about being able to see viewpoints. And so I'm not really saying which way of looking at it is right, but rather the concept of trying to actually see that way with some levity and with some humor inside of it because of the positive benefits that it has on yourself and the world around you. So, like with the music that you heard at the beginning of this episode, maybe that's not the kind of music for you. Maybe you love that kind of music. Either way, music is definitely a way that I think a lot of people continue to tap into this space. Music or sound as a whole, very capable of evoking emotion inside of a listener. And if we focus on the kinds of music that evoke the kind of spirit that we're looking for, then we can utilize that music to help us do that. For me personally, liquid drum and bass does a really good job of this. Well, maybe like we should say some of it. There's some of it that's more melodic and slow paced. It gets me a little bit more introspective, more of a tendency to get into some of my, I guess you would call them like sadder oriented feelings. But for the most part, and the stuff that I definitely err towards, is things that's a little bit more high paced. It's a little bit more assertive than it is melodic, perhaps. Maybe a little bit more focused around the bass line or something that's kind of a more angular sound. Also, those aren't two of the same thing. I'm saying that either one of those. Sometimes you maybe be making this lower frequency bass line with something that is kind of angular. I like these things because they feel very high frequency. They make me feel very energized and kind of bouncy. And well, I personally like to listen to high BPM music because I basically operate my life at that speed. So it's really something that I try to focus on. And I think we have to look at all of our various different types of consumption that we can have and see how those kinds of consumption are actually affecting the vibration that we keep, whether the consumption be the consumption of our thoughts or it be the consumption of some kind of food or music or television, whatever. I'm a huge proponent of this. It's very central to literally all of the work that I do, regardless of whether it's angling from, helping understanding psychology from the business aspect and how to understand the psychology of your buyer and what works with that buyer and what attracts a buyer that's in a good mindset, or it has to do with working on more spiritual aspect on their own personal development, where it has to do with what kind of basically relationship does it attract to you inside of your life. Really, we're talking about relationships in the same place, and depending on how we kind of position ourselves inside of that, which really starts with our ability to set that emotion inside of ourselves. We very much so, by a default state, feel very controlled by our emotions. And a lot of we'll call it self work, even though I don't really think it needs to be perceived as work. I think that's kind of a negative way of looking at it that makes it very difficult and something that people don't really want to engage with. But this concept of refining the self, very much so, we're finding a way to be in the same situations, but deal with it in a more effective manner. And I think so. It's kind of the concept of it's not really about avoiding the storm, but learning how to dance in the rain. And if we look at basically the Greek Pythagorean schools and the time that they spent studying rhetoric, we find from inside of rhetoric, which is basically, I mean, they look at it from the idea of actually conversing with someone else, or basically utilizing the words that you're using and the way that you are acting and how that interfaces with somebody else. One of the strongest forms of rhetoric, especially in the modern age, is humor and really levity. At the end of the day, predominantly, people do everything that they do because they want to have more fun. They go to work so that, or whatever, so that they can provide the things that they need inside of their life, and they use all excess money on getting what they want. Basically, and that generally tends towards their entertainment, right? All of the excess money goes towards entertainment, or maybe they save it for the future or whatever. But if you go long enough down any of these lines, you realize that they're basically saving that money or utilizing that money in order to get fun out of reality, the things that they actually want, the things that make them feel good. So all of these things are actually oriented towards that idea of getting that fun. I think people overlook that a lot of the fun that exists inside of your life doesn't require you to buy something or become somebody else or really anything like that. It really just requires you to take a different look at the situations that you're going through. We can choose to look at really anything through pretty much two bipolar lenses. And both of these have elements of truth to them. Both of them have elements of falsehood to them. And really, it's only by combining the two lenses that we would be able to understand the whole of the truths and the falsehoods. But we can choose to look through either one of these lenses when we engage a situation. Neither one of these lenses is particularly better than the other lens. However, in any given situation, one of the lenses will work more effectively than the other. We see this in other various kinds of ways. I posted a thing on Facebook the other day just because it's a very functional thing that you can find, like with percentages in math, 8% of 25 is the same thing as 25% of 8. So I can solve 8% of 25 very easily in my head by knowing that 25% of 8 is 2. So 8% of 25 is also 2. And you can go ahead and check this as much as you want on a calculator, but that these ideas of percentages being reversible. Oftentimes inside of life, the engagement that we are having is functionally completely reversible. It can happen the way that we innately think that it's going to happen, or it could happen the exact inverse of that. What I'm seeing that I really dislike, I could instead be focused on what I do like. And it's not that either one of these methodologies are better, they both have their benefits, but there will always be one of those methodologies that is more effective for you to utilize in the moment. And so, really, I urge you to have understanding and access to both of these modalities. And I feel like, really, especially as adults in the modern world, we're very focused on helping out other people, taking care of ourselves, handling our responsibilities. This leads to a lot of practicality. We see a large emergence inside of basically, psychology at all levels, whether it be going down the awakening line or it's a more standard format of clinical psychology, that we functionally have a pretty common occurrence of repression of the inner child. And a lot of what this really is saying is that we've erred towards the side of practicality. And functionally what that means is that we've started to choose safety over fun to a level that is functionally overt, right? There's too much of it, basically. So, really, I think a lot of people, adults especially, they forget how to be a kid. If I was saying the same thing to a bunch of children, I would say to them to honor how they are as children, honor all the benefits that they are experiencing from children, how much enjoyment that brings to their life, so on and so forth, and hold on to those things, not letting go of them so that they could replace them with practicality, but rather adding practicality to those things because they've already recognized the value of them. If you've already moved past that place and you're in a situation where you have already erred towards practicality, which is exactly where I personally ended up, no one was going around telling me when I was younger, hey man, everything you're doing as a kid is great. You need to honor all of this stuff and don't let go of who you are as a kid. Quite the opposite. I engaged with people who were significantly older than me, and I was actually getting told you need to grow up and shit like that all the time because, well, I was a little bit ridiculous when I was younger. Nevertheless, while I may have been overtly ridiculous and childish when I was younger, I definitely lost sight of all of this ability to basically have fun, be, we'll call it childish, but recognize when I'm saying it this time, I'm not painting it as any kind of a diminutive term. It's not derogatory in any way. I'm not like talking down on the idea of being childish, but rather talking up. I lack this ability to be childish. I lack this ability to do things just for the sake of doing the thing. It always had to be for some kind of reason. And I think a lot of other people end up in this place. And if we have ended up in that place, then it very much so benefits us to tap back into, instead of thinking about it abstractly necessarily as this inner child or maybe something else that you don't understand, the concept of like, do focus more on fun and being happy rather than, what you need to do, what you need to take care of. Focus on today and now and being happy right now, and recognize that there is a certain capacity in which your happiness will never take place somewhere outside of right now. Like, you don't actually get to the future becomes right now. And if you don't learn to appreciate and be happy in the moment, then even if you had all of the right things in the right place, would you really be able to experience the happiness in that place? Perhaps not. And perhaps you can actually obtain that happiness significantly easier if you don't put yourself in a position where you do need to acquire all of these things, right, before you can engage with that happiness, but rather recognize that the happiness does transpire in the present. And so it behooves you to find ways to have more levity about the situations that you're going through. I personally have all kinds of formats where I basically just engage with things that keep me happy, right? The concepts of like dancing, making art, uh, you know, engaging in loving interactions, things like this. They keep me in a place that feels very, to lump them all into one thing, blissful, right? But then there's also these ideas of that, like, I've engaged with my own sense of humor a lot. I understand what I find is funny. I've sculpted my own ability to kind of like take a situation and look at it from the lighter side and maybe even turn a joke about it or these kinds of things. And it's not because I'm devaluing the situation in any capacity. In fact, an argument can be made that I'm honoring the situation more by ensuring that I'm navigating through the situation in a way that keeps my mind focused on a way that I can actually operate at my maximum capacity rather than allowing whatever the situation is to cause a response inside of myself that takes me away from my prime functionality. Right? I take responsibility for that space and I ensure that I'm balancing the amount that I'm looking at the problem and the amount that I'm just enjoying my life right now. Because if we get too focused in focusing on the problems and always solving the problem, guys, you're using this like the energy flows where the attention goes against yourself. If you focus on the problems in your life all the time, the problems get all the energy. There's a quote by Edward Abbey, who wrote like the Monkey Wrench King and shit like this. This: be the change that you wish to see in the world. And very much so inside of your own reality. If you want to have a happier reality, be happier about your reality. Find the things inside of the reality that are happy, that are beneficial. Leverage into those things more sculpt inside of yourselves ways to render the situation that you're currently engaged in more blissful for yourself. Engage with activities, be they listening to music, dancing, some other thing that's not the same as me, that give you that state of bliss, that make you feel like you're doing something that you really want to do. Basically, to surmise all of it, ensure that you are balancing yourself in between what you need to do and what you want to do, recognizing that what you need to do is only really to create the foundation to allow you to do what you want to do. Uh, okay, perhaps it is a Gandhi quote. I have a sticker on the side of my like topper on my car that I looked at like every day for years and years and years. That literally has "Be the change you wish to see in the world," and then it's tagged Edward Abbey. So I don't know, maybe misleading because of the sticker. Nevertheless, whoever said it, the concept is there. I mean, 50 million people could have said it. It's a fairly simple statement, really, in the long run. At the end of the day, Gandhi, Edward Abbey, whatever. Be the change that you wish to see inside of your own world, and recognize that that's really the only thing that you can do to your reality to ensure that you get a result is change yourself, right? Like, there's no actual way to guarantee that somehow interfacing outside of yourself, you're going to get the result that you want. Like, you have to become the thing that allows you to live in the reality that you want to live in. And if you don't choose to allow yourself to be that thing, even if the potential of the reality was right here, you would miss it. So, this is the real core, in my opinion, of being the change you wish to see in the world, is allowing yourself to be the identity of a person that would live inside of the reality that you really want to live inside of. And if you can do that, in my experience, people find that they are a lot closer to the reality that they want to live in than maybe they thought they were when they were basically focusing on struggling to survive in this reality while they try to get to the next one without really taking any time to pay attention to how they're already in that reality and doing the things that would be very efficient for them to get more enjoyment out of right now without all kinds of dramatic changes and stuff, right? So even inside of coaching, consulting, etc., people really, when they come to you or when they engage with their life, they're really looking for a result. So there's many ways inside of ourselves that we can generate a result significantly faster than we can outside of ourselves. In fact, the best coaches in the world, the best consultants in the world, are basically the ones that backflow what they're doing into the people that they're working with. Think of whatever, like a Tony Robbins, for instance, very successful. He doesn't tell people exactly what to do. He tells them how to become the person that can do what they want to do, right? So we can get anything that we want in the world. We just have to want it bad enough. That's a basic pretense of Tony Robbins coaching, which, whether you like Tony Robbins or not, I mean, thousands and thousands of people support the things that he's taught. And a lot of the people that have worked with him are incredibly successful inside of this reality by their own rights. So there must be something to what he's saying. So focus on your wants. Make sure that they get honored, because the real thing is about getting what you want, and getting what you want is actually really the driving force behind continuing to do what you need to do. If you're spending all day, every day doing what you need to do and never doing what you want to do, eventually you're going to get to a point down that road where you go, why am I doing all of this stuff? Like, I don't even get anything that I want out of it, right? Like, I'm just working my ass off for not any return. It's inevitable down that path. So make sure you're honoring your wants. And I personally like to do that by finding more levity in every situation that I go through. So, Aaron's kind of poking around here somewhere. It looks like he is actually here. Hey, Aaron, what's up? Aaron on that muterino.
Hey, unmuterinoed.
Yeah, fixed. And my shit is now turned down. So
Fantastic.
We switched volume downs, right? So
yeah, for
anyways,
levity.
Yeah. So that's my little rant for today. I have a lot of stuff going on tonight, and so I'm probably only gonna be here till about 9 o'clock. But that's yeah. hopefully share some laughs.
Cool.
I watched the video in the beginning. I don't know whether you watched. It was
I did.
just,
Yep.
okay. So, yeah, I don't know. Have more fun.
It was a good rant and a good message. Have more fun.
So yeah, other than have more fun, I don't really have a lot to say today. That's been kind of my entire concept inside of my mind for the day is that really there needs to be more focus on fun, not necessarily in like well, from my perspective on it, it's really more about how to like build things and how to generate things. And so when I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking about that, I'm thinking about like uh content messaging, how things are presented to other people. Right? But I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a very applicable thing inside of our own life as well. So
Brittany says, I miss hearing Zach. That he always teaches me something. It's true.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way. Yeah, I just share a bunch of stuff that's worked out for my life in hopes that somebody else doesn't have to spend as much time as my dumb ass spent doing stuff because I already put in the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I already put in the time, put in a bunch of mistakes, a bunch of guess and check, deal with a bunch of failure, stuff like that. And outside of stuff like that, like I don't really opine on things unless I feel qualified to opine on them. So
Mm.
if you can get something of value out of it, then great. I probably saved you some time.
Well, that's what's I guess the benefit of doing a nightly podcast. And if we had to talk about something every night, you'd hope that somebody gets some kind of benefit out of it in one way or another, whether it's levity or scuffed Hamlet or some other dynamic, some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and that's really why I'm
That's
spending a lot of time thinking about the like how to get the message out better, is because I need to like shift more focus to this, and it needs like we do want to get the message out. We do want to have a community, these kinds of things, and that means that it needs to be its growth needs to be approached in the right way, and its sustainability needs to be approached in the right way, and so it's yeah, I don't know. There's just a lot to think about with that. If you're a person like me, who thinks way too much about everything, so yeah, yeah, that's just my kind of jam. I'm totally okay with not having any idea what I'm doing, and I like just continue to think about it for a really long time until I feel like I do know what I'm doing, and I'm okay with taking that time, patient. But I like to have it. I like to have things well thought out. So at any rate.
yeah. So I think it was addressed on Angela's show in the chat and stuff. But since last night we went into a whole long thing, and on the show last night we're hearing about what Frank was there, and then it was our understanding that Gina Jin had passed. So the good news is she actually has not passed, at least as of yet. I think she's in intensive care. She's got a stage 4 pancreatic cancer
Well,
diagnosis.
we should pause ourselves because her sister did post today that at 4:45 she has now passed.
Okay. So it was just a day earlier than we thought it was.
Sure. Yeah, we was post date the episode one day. Nobody will ever know the difference in 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Wait a second, wasn't that the day before? Oh yeah, that's just how it happened.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. We skipped a day. We didn't do
Yeah.
We took a day off. You forgot.
Well, actually, on that note, then, I mean, last night, so after we found out about an hour and a half in, and then ended up going another 6 hours. That just kind of happened. And then going through, there's like an hour and a half of that of watching Gina's videos on the show and talking about her and people in the chat engaging. And then it actually opened up a dialogue for me to actually talk about my dad. It was Father's Day, and my dad had passed in April on my birthday. And so I was able to I went through his website. I'm actually probably going to cut, there's like a 2-hour segment out of there. I think I'll cut out and make just like a separate video to honor my dad, which is nice because I haven't really written anything or said anything since that time. I mean, publicly. I had my own experiences and I was doing really good with that. And then a bunch of other stuff culminated recently, and then it was just excessively hard not having him around yesterday. And so I don't know, give me a chance to process a bunch of stuff too. So Anyway, that's all in the content there from your last night's episode. So if that sounds like something you feel like you might be beneficial for you to engage in that, then it's there. There's definitely lots of tears and emotions and things. So yay. One of those episodes.
Yeah, that's a long one. 7.5 hours is a while. That's for sure.
A little bit. I think it's a new record, actually.
Yeah, pretty long one. Interesting development in the world of streaming today was this new like breakout platform, which didn't really break out, platform by Microsoft that actually ended up selling to Facebook Gaming, and they're shutting it down. And so it's weird because this is like the kind of the first contraction inside of the streaming world, and like this is always inevitable, right? But it's interesting that it's the first thing that was like emerging that didn't work out. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So that's very interesting just to like take note of on the idea of like, these very long streams and stuff. Is that like, yeah, I don't know.
Wait, what's the connection to the long streams?
Well, we have to. It's important to recognize like that you appreciating the community that you have, making sure that you are delivering for the community that you have. You are providing the kind of space that they want, that you are providing value and shit like that. There is
Mm-hmm.
plenty of content inside of the streaming or really the digital media world at this point in time, and it's important to, well, be providing the value. You know what I mean? Or be
Yeah, and
providing the
creating the
space that
space.
is what they want to be doing. You know what I mean? Whatever that
Yeah.
is.
Well, it's. I mean, we do that. I mean, feeling out. I mean, there's times we go early and it's fine. We're tired and we did a decent show, an hour, 2 hours, and there's other times when people are chatting, whatever. I don't mind hanging out and literally hanging out and creating a space in the chat room in the dialogues. There's people, that are on our show or Jen's show that aren't on other shows, so it's the actual place that they're able to connect and have community with us, or just themselves in the chat and different people. And so I definitely personally very much value allowing creating space for the community to have space to whatever develops. Like the whole thing the other night, right? The Space Jesus bus, the Space Jesus fan thing. And how that whole thing developed.
Mm-hmm.
You see the pictures I photoshopped of Frank
Yeah.
with the fish and the Pope hat or chef hat.
Yeah, I did. That's why I've really been, taking time analyzing what is it really that people want, you know?
Mm.
So there's I mean, you can come at it from a lot of angles, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm have pretty much completely convinced myself that what people really actually want is to have fun. All the other stuff is
Well,
actually a stepping stone to doing that.
yeah, speaking of which, so Kevin said, "Oh yeah, I started my Twitch page today for the music shows from here." Fuck yeah. So that's going to be happening regularly, whatever that is, once a week or whatever, and figure out how to go from this show after a show and then dive into just music stuff on Twitch. So when we start doing that, we'll put the link in the chat and then transfer over. Anybody wants to participate in that, again, in the chat on Twitch or, whatever, then we'll be able, that'll totally be a music thing. Frank is super excited about the idea. I talked to him about it yesterday, and he just feels like that's perfect for him too, with everything he's gone through, to create that space where we're all focusing on music and doing it live and interacting, looking at each other's screens and just doing music. Like he's very excited about that. So I think that's going to be an awesome thing. That sounds very fun. Soon.
Yeah, I've actually been pretty surprised since we first started talking about that. I started basically analyzing the space. And I'm really actually surprised at the amount of people that are live streaming sound production. And a lot of
Huh.
them are in fucking incredible sound designers and I mean very, very successful people. You know what I mean? Like it was only
Yeah.
like a month ago or something, Barely Alive, which is an extremely popular dubstep producer and DJ duo. Um, they like they did like 4 days of 4 hour streams in a row doing like live production, making all these like VIP mixes of basically like their most popular songs. But it was
Cool.
like, so, and I mean, there's a lot of other ones like this guy named Mr. Bill that works with, well, he works
Mr.
with all
Bill.
kinds of different music. Nevertheless, like he live streams a lot. He does real long streams, 12 hours and shit.
Yeah.
And so, and there's just a lot of people in that space. I was actually for so many motherfuckers on Twitch DJing. I didn't know there were so many DJs in the world. I'm so surprised that so many people have a pair of turntables or Pioneer CDJs or something like that. So,
Which is cool. That means there's a lot of people doing it. It's a vibe in the earth right now, and people are jumping on board, man. Music's where creation happens in novel ways, especially with D&B music. There's just so many infinitely nuanced variables and layers that you can put in there.
yeah.
It's just
Well, I mean,
awesome.
the music industry from an artist perspective is getting shit on massively right now
Mm.
because they make majority of their money from live shows and have not been able to have a live show anywhere on the fucking planet for like 4 months. So,
Right. Oh, yeah, that makes sense why everything's popped up in the last month or two then.
yeah. So, nevertheless, like, you have a lot of people that are trying to maintain relevance through basically doing like live stream events and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, shit. Even like fucking John Digweed's been doing this. Like, that guy could never possibly lose relevance with his fan base. It's impossible. They've known him for 20 years. You know what I mean? And even he
Yeah.
is doing basically these things. Of course, he runs an electronica label, and he's still about like promoting the music that's coming out on the label, and like he's got reasons. You know what I mean? But the
Yeah.
point is like even really like the greats, a lot of the greats in the space right now are utilizing live streaming to maintain relevance since they can't actually schedule any kind of shows.
Which is actually cool. I've seen a lot more Facebook feeds of people doing live music and just their own Facebook channels and stuff. And it's cool to see, especially there's people that do it regularly that weren't doing it before the COVID thing. They're musicians or whatever, and now they're doing regular live streams, which is really cool because each time it's live and it's organic, especially if it's a session, something it's not just like one song. It's, 30 minutes, an hour. It's cool, man. It's really, really beautiful to see people expressing that way.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking of fucking, people losing out on money, at least for some reason the government is giving us money for free with stimuluses and shit. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, President Trump just said today that they're going to be running another stimulus bill that's very
A big
generous.
one, you said.
Where they
Yeah,
get all
very
this
generous.
money from, who knows? But who
Well,
cares? As long as they send me some of it.
Yeah, for now, yeah, it's fine. I mean, just during this shit, but that's because they incorporated the Federal Reserve, so the generous amount comes. We're not paying interest on that money that we're printing out of thin air,
I don't
just
know.
like it always should have been.
Maybe.
I'm not saying you can't just print money, but at least they're not also paying interest to a Federal Reserve that's privately owned.
Yeah.
That whole thing's still
I
weird.
don't
I
know.
haven't heard much about that in the news, but it happened. So that's a thing that's
Yeah, I don't
underpinning
know.
the finances of our country and the world if the Federal Reserve is incorporated. So we'll just have to see how that plays out.
Yeah. I mean, dollar's technically not worth anything anyways. People will
No,
accept
it's the
forms
tallest.
of
The
currency for
dollar,
other things.
the
But the
USD
form
is
of
the
currency
tallest midget in the room.
in and of itself, a currency in the world, especially like these paper ones and shit like that, like they're not actually intrinsically worth anything.
Right?
What people are willing to exchange for them is worth something. So,
It's primarily based on oil, so that all the Saudis and the oil they use USD to buy oil because that's the chosen global currency. It doesn't have to be, and
which
they're
is
all
also
shit.
crazy. Like we feel like
Yeah,
gas prices are low right now or something. When it's like just recently, gas prices actually went to
negative.
negative dollars per barrel. Like what the
Mm-hmm.
fuck? You're actually costing you money to keep it, and somehow people out here are still paying $2.39 a gallon for refined
Uh-huh.
crude. Like what the fuck? Are you kidding me?
Which maybe that's part of what will lead to the collapse of the oil industry. They've got so much already barreled and drilled and pulled out, they have to get rid of it. But if the country's changing more to electric or other types of technologies, they're going to become a massive burden on the people. Like, fuck you, fuck your oil you're forcing on us. There's way better technologies just because you want to sell more of your oil. Like, we've been doing that for, at least 50 years, easy.
Well, it
We're
doesn't
over
go
it.
bad, does
Sorry.
it?
I don't know, but it's the millions of gallons of barrels they have in reserves. I mean, just filling up caves and filling up, places. Like, why? I mean, I guess we'll have cars for a long time. I get it, but there's no point. Like, you're in the negative, man. Like, why don't you focus on other technologies? Oh, because you still want to get money off of oil because that's how you get money and you built the infrastructure for it. Like, come on, get over it, man. Like, grow
Nobody
up, get
likes to
on board
lose
with
their
where the world's
market,
going.
man. So
I get it. I understand, but it's like, dude, this is where the world's going. Whatever, that's fine if they want to keep going that direction. I just hope it gets exposed for what it is, and people just choose to put their money elsewhere. Like when you can afford to put your money elsewhere instead of buying, super processed food or whatever, and buy healthier food. You vote with your money. It's where you put your money and your focus and your energy. So people are starting to invest in other technologies, and Tesla providing other things. I mean, it's going to push the oil industry out. It's just how much they're going to claw and fight their way to stay in.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know.
Seems to me.
I think people really like, in many ways, the whole of business, if you can project out far enough, every single thing has like a lifespan, right? Like, so normal logical computers that we use right now aren't going to be the standard forever. So technically, Microsoft and everybody else developing software for the logical computer is, in a certain sense, milking the community for money of a dying technology, right? Like at some point in time, it's going to be dead. I'm not saying that's tomorrow, you know what I mean? Or anything like that. But technically, given a long enough time span, the shit we're doing right now can be projected as eventually obsolete. So technically, anything being generated right now has a certain level of planned obsolescence coded inside of it.
Yeah.
But can we really even get away from that? Can we
well,
really
I guess
get away
that'd be
from that? I
nice.
mean, we use what we can use right now, and that's going to give us the ability to use something later, but it's going to render that thing obsolete.
Yeah, it's the difference between having the runners of the oil industry, which run so much of industry, choosing instead to plan for obsolescence. They're just clawing and digging their teeth in as long as they possibly can instead of planning on some kind of transition.
They are planned for obsolescence because they are dug in on those other places too. They just are milking as much as they can out of the thing before it is obsolete, which is the smartest thing to do if you know that the obsolescence is coming from a personal gain standpoint.
Totally. I get that.
And realize
these
motherfuckers don't care about you. Okay, they don't care about how much money you have. They care about how much money they have. All right.
Yes.
So you can't even have any kind of expectation for them to do something for the common man. Like, why?
Yeah. All right. So speaking of Microsoft, I read an article on Russia that Russia's now put a mandate out, and Putin and whatever, they're literally getting rid of all Microsoft products throughout the country, over like tens of millions of computers and software within the country, and they're going to their own internal-based Russian-based software. But they're literally getting Microsoft out of the entire country.
Probably not a bad idea. I'm sure Microsoft software is being used to spy on them. So.
That's what they're saying. They said they found in there that that's what's been going on. It's going on around the world, and we're done with it. And they literally have made it. They made it illegal, and they're putting in their own software.
Yeah.
So good for them.
Yeah, man. People in the Black Hat community have known that basically there's all kinds of fucked up shit built into the Windows home operating systems and the Windows server setups, especially, for a very long time. All types of data reporting and data collection and shit that is beyond the scope of what they actually need. All these kinds of things. But really, like, you can't even actually keep up with as fast as they change it and add this shit and move this shit and such. Because the whole idea of, like, the security updates that are, and these kinds of things, these mandatory updates that automatically push and shit, the shit changes all the time. So,
Yep.
I've told people literally for like 20 years, if you think your data is safe, you're delusional. It's not. Mm-hmm. It's not. It might be in the safest place, but that don't mean it's safe. That just means it's really hard to do something with it, right? But if it's digital, it's not safe. Yeah, fuck Kevin Windows, anything. I mean, the Mac OS ain't any better. Half of the Linux shells ain't any better. You know what I mean? So, yeah. You can use some weird open source format of fucking Linux that don't work with half the things that you try to do. What are you going to do? Even when I was really paranoid about this, I still had a computer that I ran with a Windows operating system because there's all kinds of shit that you're going to want to do that only works on a PC. So, what are you going to do about it?
Is what it is for now. We wait until the country kicks Microsoft out of the country, and then everyone just starts to learn a new software, and it is what it is.
Yeah,
but until then.
And will this actually be like even like a good thing? I mean, technically it's against our capitalistic foundation. That's not allowing for a free market. If people do not like that, then like you're saying, they should protest with their money and they should go with one of the other providers of operating systems. But Microsoft and their operating systems are all over this fucking country already.
People start buying this Russian programming? Like, say it's really good. It's better than Windows and whatever. It's
good
cleaner.
Luck getting the Russians
whatever.
To write it in something besides Cyrillic. They don't give a fuck about you. I've interfaced with a lot of Russian programs, and they always written in Cyrillic. They don't fucking translate that shit for you. I don't care about you.
Just to write in a GUI. It's fine. Translate it all.
Yeah, I mean, in a certain way, and I don't have a problem with them because it's really like it's more like their own self confidence. But in my experience, functionally Russians are like the most racist people in the world because they believe that Russians are better at everything than everyone else. You know what I mean? And it's not,
Yeah.
but it's not in like a bad way. It's in like a way that like they're just really confident in themselves. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like you are shit. I am the best. It's just like I don't know what you're talking about. I am the best. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's
Do you
it's
understand
not
the
it's,
words? I
it's
am the
not
best.
diminutive to you. It's bigging themselves up. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, vote with your dollar bill. That's by far the best way to go, for sure. You know, realize that the
Hmm.
people that you'd really like to vote against, in many ways, like unless you're voting with your dollar bill by not paying taxes, they're getting that shit anyways. So, you know, what you gonna do?
It's
So,
true. You know, it's
if
nice. Even though I don't
if you
see
don't want to
see
engage
your.
with those things, you move to a different fucking country. That's the way to do it. You know where you don't have to fucking like support Microsoft anytime you pay a tax dollar? Like if you move to fucking, Botswana or some shit. I don't know about
Yeah.
specifically Botswana, but some weird shit like that. You know what I mean? You go to
Well, I
Botswana.
wonder. I mean, I haven't paid enough attention. I haven't caught where he's mentioned it, but I wonder what Seven uses down in Costa Rica. What's that up? I mean, it seems like they're using regular computers and software, but I haven't heard him mention if they're using Linux or some other thing. So I don't know. Be interested. Be curious.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if he's developing stuff that can be ran on a PC, then he's got PCs running somewhere because he has to fucking test it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that makes sense. Yeah.
So it's impossible to develop software without having one of those machines around so that you can see whether or not your fucking code bricks the entire OS. You know, like you
Yeah.
gotta check. It's very important to check. So yeah, I mean, good, Kevin. I mean, like you as a free American citizen cannot be charged taxes anyways. So I completely support that choice. Yeah.
Yep. And the federal income tax is unconstitutional and criminal. But you know, if you're gonna pull that, just don't be a Wesley Snipes or somebody else that tries to make a stand and then kind of fucks himself over.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't own your Dumoulin if you're gonna play that game. So you can't be like, I'm Wesley Snipes, you know what I mean? And then not
Yeah.
represent Wesley Snipes LLC, basically. That's not going to work out, you know? Only it's Wesley
Yeah.
Snipes FLC, Full Liability Corporation.
And so Wesley sniping my current tax situation. Well done. Just without the going to jail part. A small move to, was it Bhutan? It's the only carbon negative country. Ooh.
I'll look at an image of it. I'll go. The first image that I saw looks pretty sick. I'm down. They got internet
Bhutan?
connection there? Yeah.
Throw it up on the screen.
I think this one's a little bit what the fuck? I think it's a little bit doctored to look a little better, but oh, it's their background image here. Okay, that's not doing it for me. I don't want to download a detailed PDF. I just want to see some fucking pictures. What the hell, man? Oh my god, why did they make it so hard? Here we go. We're going to go on a short digital mountain tour of Bhutan. We can see it in the background here. This is a pretty
Cool.
neat temple. That's for sure. And it
Yeah.
says words like Timpu Gengte Punaka Paro. And I have no idea what any of that means, but they're pretty sick. And then they tell you how much it costs to go with them. We don't care about any of that because you just go on your own and guide yourself, and it's much funner. And then, so you got a lot of monks around a stupa. You got, these are in the middle, you got what looks like some tombs there. A big bronze Buddha statue. So that's cool. You got some cranes here. And you can visit the Crane Information Center. Wow. And
Okay.
this
Nice.
temple, this temple here, and what looks like a really nice hotel. I'm gonna be honest. This looks like just a nice hotel. But It is pretty nice. I'll give it
Bhutan.
that.
It looks very Eastern slash Tibetan esque
Yeah,
structures.
looks Tibeti, for sure.
Yeah,
This looks very
Tibeti.
Tibeti
Yeah,
right here, right? Like it's got the steps and the mountains and the temple, and you can probably hear
yeah.
a prayer wheel. And this also looks very regional, if I do say so myself. It's kind of cool. You know, it looks neat. And here's children and stuff.
Playing with each other's hair. What is
I
he
think
doing?
it's things coming from the hat, is what they actually
Ah.
are. But yeah,
Well, it says
nevertheless,
Bhutan is bordered by India in the south and China in the north.
got some more stupas here. And this is the temple we saw earlier.
Brittany asked, "Women's rights? Can I still get an education there?"
Good question.
Yeah, fair question. I don't think
I
have you seen any
actually have
women in
not
any of these
seen
pictures?
a single woman yet, so it might be a hard no. So this is the
They're
picture I was
carbon
originally
neutral
looking
because they
for.
eliminated the women.
Look at how cool this place is, dude. Built on the side of a cliff and shit.
Yeah, that's cool.
So cool. And this
Kevin
guy,
asked,
look how hard this guy's thinking. Right here, you could think this hard if you went to
if
Bhutan.
you came to Bhutan, yeah.
Prayer wheels, I told you. I knew it. I knew you could hear a prayer wheel.
Yep.
Tailor, make your
Kevin said,
journey.
wait, hold on, let's see. Kevin asked, what's in Costa Rica that so many have flocked to? What do you know about the energies in Costa Rica?
There's a lot of sorcery going on down there, I'll tell you that much.
A little bit. I think we got, okay, who's down there besides? I know Seven and his tribe's down there, and then so is Teal Swan and her tribe somewhere in Costa Rica. But I don't know who else is down there.
All kinds of fucking randoms. All kinds of fucking randoms.
All kinds of random sorcerers.
Yeah. Functionally. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people have gone up there even from down in the Amazon. So, yeah, weird place, that's for sure.
So
Pretty
Sam said
place, a
pretty
lot of
sure that
butterflies in Costa Rica. That's the number one reason to go to Costa Rica. A lot of butterflies.
Yeah. It's a good reason.
Yeah.
Sam says, pretty sure that Bhutan has a law or rule that people's happiness is the biggest of priorities.
I mean, that's
cool
if they stick to it.
Yeah, like your own personal happiness, not happiness by you have to have the government TV on at low volume 24/7 or any other that shit.
Here in the United States, we are protected constitutionally in the search for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But we recommend that you stay in your house for the next 5 fucking months or whatever, right? So, okay, what does that mean? I don't know.
You definitely should wear masks out in public because you
Yeah.
can't just cover your face when you cough. You're supposed to wear a mask 24/7 in fresh air.
But if you wear an
out when you're walking
extremely
around.
loose piece of gauze that covers your mouth but provides absolutely no effect whatsoever, pretty much everyone will give you a pass. It makes
Yeah, and the
no
article
sense.
is like, there's massive scientific proof that even the cloth mask made at home helps stop particles from leaving your mouth and nose that can get other people sick. Yeah, no shit. Don't cough on people. Cover your face. No big deal. That's normal courtesy. Like you're gonna cough in your arm or something. Don't just go coughing on somebody.
Yeah.
But don't wear it 24/7. Dude, I went through Starbucks the other day and I got to the line and she handed me my drink and then she forgot to give me my food so I just asked for the food there. She's like, "Oh yeah." She's like, she's like, "Forgetting that all the time lately." And I go, "Is it because you're wearing a mask?" Because they make me nauseous when I have to wear them. They literally make me nauseous, and they show you rebreathing your own oxygen. It makes you dumber. Told her. She told her coworker. She goes, "Did you hear this?" She goes, "That makes so much sense. Haven't you been getting headaches since you've been wearing your mask? I've been getting headaches every day." I'm like, yep. That was it. That was just the exchange, I just
I'm not
threw that out
saying,
there.
but I'm just saying,
Just saying. And like I was at a store today, like a store, and I'm like, do you have a bathroom I could use? Right, it's a regular store. Well, not right now. And I said, really? Because of the COVID shit? And she's like, yeah. I said, no, it's not your fault. I said, that's so fucked up. Like, where am I supposed to go to the bathroom? Really? You can't just wipe shit down a little more? Like, literally, your bathrooms are closed. Really?
Yeah, kind of.
I didn't like shit on her, but she understood it wasn't matter her. It's her policy. But she's like, yeah, I know it's weird. Yeah, it's fucking weird. It doesn't even make sense. Give me a break.
It's real fucking weird. The world's in a real weird place right now. So.
little
I
bit.
tried. I try to laugh at its ridiculousness as much as possible and just not engage with the parts I don't like. So
Yep.
hopefully it will turn into somewhere that's basically not a prison. But nevertheless, I'm gonna go. I got fucking shit that I need to finish up. I have stuff on the stove right now, and I gotta
Nice.
go take care of it. And so I will see you guys later, probably tomorrow.
Cool. Love you, Zach.
All right. Love you too, guys. Bye bye.
Hi. So really, Patty said, love you all. But another long dad day. I'll listen later. Take care. You rocks. We love you, Patty. Thanks for stopping in. Just saying something. That's great. So it's Hogwarts on crack. Wait, hold on. Which thing is Hogwarts on crack? That's really funny. Thank hugs, Patty. Love you. My Patty. Really. Yep. That's awesome. Yeah. So the music thing, Kev, that is super awesome. And I'm down to port over and do that tonight. Are we able to do that? Oh, Costa Rica, new Hogwarts on crack. Yeah, the island for witchcraft and wizardry. Oh, Sam said, give Jen a big hug from us all, Zach. Yeah. She did her first short show today. Well, there was a 10-minute intro of just the music with her and Robert Holly made, and that was it. So then she's taking a day off, and very, very well deserved. I think she's 30 plus episodes in, and she's been doing it every day. And again, as we've said, she does that totally on her own every day. Jen is amazing. Really. So awesome. She got a day off. It's really cool that happened, that her and Robert were able to make that track just from the stuff she does on her show and playing the flute and the meditations and then Robert's stuff. And awesome. Robert is incredible and Jen's incredible and you guys in the community incredible, everybody in their own ways. And you're very, very much appreciated. So, Kev, yeah, but really, if we're able to do that Twitch thing, then we could maybe port over and just dive into that tonight because I've got a lot of chats about tonight. I've had a very exhausting weekend. I'm a little fried. So, but music, jump on Twitch and do music. That sounds fun. We could do that. Let me think. What else can we talk about? What topic can we just dive into? Any suggestions? Let's see. Don said the dedication is truly lovely. Yep, it very much is. I don't know about going over and testing it live. I'd rather if there are any glitches. Fuck. Let's see. Live, all occurring live. It's true. Keep it going for a second. I'm checking now. Cool. So yeah, so if Kevin gets going and it works, then we'll port over there, and we'll put a link in the chat, or probably put a link up on the screen, and maybe let this one run with just some music in the background for a little while. And so if people pop onto this, they know where we are going to. So there's that. So also, whenever Kevin, you send me the link, or is it the same one from the other night? Because you sent me to your page on Twitch. But if there's a link, if you get a room going, then I'll put that link to the room directly into the room, so people can show up and join the chat and participate that way. So I'll put that on when that comes on. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm just a little fried tonight. Life happens sometimes. So I'll get it sorted right quick. Cool. So it looks like we're gonna be going over there, which is awesome. And then we'll talk music stuff and from there as well. Oh, that's cool. It shows for live viewers. I just put the mouse over the live viewers icon, and it shows us which ones are from YouTube. And then if we were streaming also to Facebook or other platforms, it would show us which viewers from which platform, which is, I didn't know it shows us that, so that's cool. Sending you a big healing hug, Aaron. Thank you. I could use them. Shit's gotten a little fucked up recently. In a way I wasn't prepared for, and that's really rare. You're more than all right, Aaron. It is true. That is objectively true. Not dull a bit. Yeah. So, yeah, like Zach was talking about. So, finding humor in life sometimes takes a little while to find humor because shit can just be really shitty. But that's definitely always been my goal, also, just with people and in life and for myself. Like, really being able to make humor out of fucked up situations. You know, you do the best you can, and sometimes you got to process the shitty stuff, but then, the goal is finding humor and finding ways to dance in the rain because the storms come. And I'm exceptionally good at that, by the way, guys. I'm very good. So when I hit certain things that are very hard, it's hard. Melissa, I love you so much, Aaron. You deserve the biggest hug and all of the ice cream. Thanks. I didn't even get any ice cream. Oh, well. I'm sure there'll be some at my grandma's next time we go. Actually, I usually have to check before I'm going over. I'm like, Grandma, do we have any ice cream? And she's like, no, we don't. Do you want to pick some up? All right. Have it on hand. There's some cool pictures from the fire the other night, which I was just reminded of because of the copper cup. So that was in one of the pictures where we were showing the tablet, like a picture of the tablet, and behind the tablet's the fire and where it was set up at the Carlsons. And that was super awesome. I really enjoy fires a lot because I'm an Aries and a Leo and all that other stuff. And yeah, it just seems to super resonate with me. And the more I'm around fires, the more awesome they become to me. There's always new layers and nuances, and there's just like a natural calming and passion inducing and transmuting and whatever. There's lots of stuff that happens, it feels like, for me naturally in that environment around fire. Okay. Don says, look how Aaron, Zach, all of us here are making a better world presently. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Even when we're going through shitty things in life, we're on the show every night and we'll get through all the shit together because we're all part of a community and tribe. What does your new world look like live? Well, free from any bondages and over attachments to things or people. Cutting cords and ties from people who leech off of you undeservedly. And that's just on the negative side, if you will, the cutting cord side, the creating, establishing sovereignty and presence for yourself, to honor yourself above other people first. In certain dynamics, again, that we've talked about before, like when you're serving and loving other people, it's always ideal when it's out of an overflow. It's not out of an obligation, or I should help them, and then you're all weird and bitter about it. But being able to, or just in turmoil inside, because yeah, there's parts of you wants to do it. It's a good thing to do. It will probably help them feel better. But if you're doing it to your own detriment, you're exhausted. Or you've already been helping people, or you have other stuff you got to do for you. And then you put that aside too many times for someone else, it just builds bitterness and resentment. So there's finding the balance of doing what and you feel is internally right for you, coherent, moral, the right decisions each step of the way. Because even at the end of the road, if it all goes south, do you regret the decisions you made? Or do you look back and know that each decision you made along the way, the reasons you made it for, were right and pure and helpful for you, and they're done in ways that were coherent? And even if the outcome didn't come out in the way that you feel like those actions deserve, well, that's when you learn to dance in the rain, right? Because that's all you can do. sometimes, while creating a better reality. And holding visions of the sunshine while you're dancing in the rain, knowing it won't always be wet. So like you're getting soaked in your clothes outside. Well, might as well dance in the rain. You're already soaked, right? Yeah. Let's see. Fire and soft rain was cool. Yeah, it was raining there a little on and off at the fire, actually. Oh, hot rain instead of soft rain. Fire and hot rain was cool. And Teehee and Sam. Sometimes you got to go for it. Compelled, actually, it seems to me. Fun things I'm planning on being able to fly. Fuck yeah, me too. I was telling the kids there, like, they were just hanging out the next morning, and they were just thinking about things and suggesting things, and they said, if you jump off a cliff, will you die? I said, well, not if you can fly. She said, well, how do you do that? You'd have to have an airplane. I said, well, you don't start by jumping off a cliff. Start by going out in the yard, in the grass, and picture yourself flying. You don't have to flap your wings. Like, really, if you really viscerally envision that. And anyway, just putting it in their mind. It's just an interesting way to think of it, because usually it's like, if you fall off a cliff, yes, you will die. So don't even think about doing that, because you can't fly. Well, I believe you can. But at the same time, I'm not going to tell anybody to go jump off a cliff. Don't be an idiot. Like, start in your backyard. You don't need like a big drop off like the Matrix to make you believe it. Maybe you do. That's your own call. You're your own sovereign being. You do whatever you feel. There's a lot of weird shit that I don't ask anybody's permission. It's just, it feels like the right thing to me to do, no matter how crazy it seems to other people. Because there's reasons I am doing it, my own internal coherent states and things that I'm pursuing to understand and achieve my life or experience. And yeah. So with everything you do, obviously there's always using wisdom, circumambulation. It's always good to have wise counselors or friends around you that will really give their authentic opinion and their opinions you value. Even if they don't necessarily agree, that their perspective on it has some value, maybe something you didn't think about in a certain way before, or whether you change your mind or not, you're allowing to take in the perspectives of the people who matter to you in your life, whose perspectives are valuable to you and have proven to be in the past, or intuitively feel that their perspective will be valuable to you. Tim said, love it. I love being with kids. They have the best imagination. Yeah, super, really. And I feel like as adults, if you can just craft your articulations in a way where you expand their imagination, allow them to expand their imagination, ask questions, different things like that, like to go out in the yard and fly. And like when we were there this summer, when I was there this summer with them, we were going through the woods. Oh, I'll have to upload them at some point. I'll have to ask Sam and Jacob and see if they're cool with that. But we were just walking through the woods and then got in this organic conversation about being able to connect to trees. And so as I was talking about different ways you can do it, the kids just started doing it. They went up on the trees, put their forehead on the trees, and they went to different trees and started engaging the trees. And so asking them, like, what do you, it's not necessarily words. You don't necessarily have to say anything out loud. You can just say it in your mind, just and feel it in your body. Like, hi, tree. I love you. Thank you for being here and providing shade and roots and whatever, just like an engagement of connection in that way. And even when we were talking about the flying thing, shortly after, he said, well, I really like to talk to trees now. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I talk to them a lot. I said, what do you say? He's like, I don't know, things. They tell me things I'm not supposed to tell anybody. I'm like, all right, cool. Right on, man. Build that relationship. In fact, he's doing it enough that he feels that that's a real reality for him is really fucking cool. All right, Kevin says we got the stream going. Streaming right, meow. One up the flying. Biolocate instead of technical intelligence teleporting us. Haha and a teehee. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Zach talks about this when he's done lucid dreaming like all his life. He's never flown. He just saw it as an inefficient way to use his time. He would just literally teleport and bilocate to where he wanted to go. So to me, it's that, sure, depending on the dynamic, just get there. Right? But other times, fucking fly. Why not? Because that sounds fucking fun. And he doesn't want to do that just for the sake of doing that. It sounds really cool. And it feels really viscerally like Superman or Neo taking off from the ground or whatever. Yeah, Sam says, yeah, I often hug trees. Yeah, me too. All right, Kev, so send me the link. Trees have the most beautiful energy. They do, man. Trees are ancient. Trees are really cool. Especially you hug them more and more often, you engage with them, like you do build a relationship with them. There's different energy from different kinds of trees, different history. A lot of times I found them to be incredibly grateful and appreciative just from being acknowledged, you know, being honored, given weight to them, attention, time to hug them, to put your head on them, your hands, to put your focus and your awareness on engaging with them. Anyway, that works. Kismet. Kismet. Yeah, teleport but flying for fun. Yeah. Totes. Totes, my goats. Jones says, rewind the podcast a bit. I had to stop watching and I rewinded to the part where you guys said people were getting headaches for wearing masks, and I took my grandma to run errands today and had to wear a face covering. Now I have a headache. Yep. Same thing. There's certain accounts I go into. We do boilers all over the city, different biomeds we go into, or places where they require us to wear masks, but we go like places we do that for the most part. We're in and out. We check boiler there and head out. So I don't have to wear it very long, but really even like 5-10 minutes, I'm starting to get a headache, starting to get nauseous. So I don't know. I don't know why people just put up with that. If they, I mean, like again, some places we have to that we come into, again, it's fine because most time, like if we wear them out in the common areas, we get in the boiler room, we can take them off and, whatever. It's not too big of a deal. But yeah, if that was something I had to wear all the time, like no, like literally it's affecting my health. And, in here we've talked about a lot and you guys know how important breath is. Fresh air, fresh ions from the atmosphere, closing people off from the beaches. So you can't get fresh ion. Not that like they know that or whatever. They're thinking that way at certain levels. The lower levels, they're not. They're just following the rules. But to me, this is higher levels of just disconnecting us even more from the earth and getting us inside and getting us, afraid and disconnected and in fear. And when we do outside, you're like, think about the protest too. Everybody's already wearing masks. Usually if you're wearing a mask in a protest, you're a dangerous person potentially. Somebody's got your eyes on you because you're trying to cover your face. And now it's like everybody's got masks. So it's like, that doesn't sound like a very good setup for doing protests. Sounds like it can get violent really fast and everybody's wearing a mask. It is petrified spruce with a younger tree growing from the center of it. Awesome. He said, up here, he said, did you see my avatars? What's my pick here? What is your pick there? That's what you described up here, right? Petrified spruce with a younger tree growing from the center of it. Yeah, cool. Jasmine says we took a long time because we were doing big grocery shopping. We buy all our food for 3 weeks in one trip because they live kind of far from the bigger store. Yeah, that makes sense. I'll say grocery store shopping often. Yeah. All right, let me see. Pull up. Nope, not that one. Messenger. Let's see, yeah, because Kevin has sent me 2 messages, so I'm sure the link's probably in here. Click on this. There it be. Cool. He's like, it's streaming. And he sent it, and he goes, I don't know all the controls, bruh. That's fine, man. We'll figure it out. Let's see, so let's copy that. So Jasmine says, but wearing a mask for more than an hour, damn, I can't. Yep. And so you just know your limits. It's just, yeah. You got to find your own personal line with where you feel like culture is pushing something on you that you personally don't agree with, and not let the collective fear get in that you are making us dangerous. It's kind of like the vaccine thing. It doesn't make no sense to me. I'm sorry. If you have the immune system, or if you're vaccinated, why are you so terrified of someone who isn't vaccinated? And statistically, they're often more disease free and have less autoimmune issues, go figure, than people who've had vaccines. They're much healthier human beings, like provably over time. David Icke talks about it with his kids. They didn't have any vaccines. They're incredibly healthy, have always been healthier than their friends. He elaborates on that on, he's done, what, 4 or 5 interviews now on londonreal.tv. They had to move to a whole new platform, create a whole new platform because they were getting censored and taken off of YouTube because of his David Icke videos primarily and censoring free speech. So they're all over there. It's a free platform. You can also pay and subscribe or whatever, but I think most of the videos up there are free still. They're just they're getting off YouTube. Or YouTube's taking them off. I think they're riding it out as long as YouTube doesn't keep, banning their videos or banning their channel. But, and Seven Bomar has done the same thing. He's created his own infrastructure with his tribe and the team down there in the community. I don't agree, but the stores won't let you in anymore with that one. Yeah, that sucks. I haven't had one of the stores yet. The hospitals, like sometimes we have to go to hospitals, check boilers, whatever, and those ones are more strict. You definitely have to. And I get that. Like some of their surgery centers, and there's a lot of older people there, and it's just, again, I don't have to be in there very long. Whatever it is, what it is, not ideal. And if I had to do it for a long period of time, oh come on, why'd that link the post in here? Yeah, I would just have to make firmer and firmer decisions and boundaries for how I follow along with that. So I most certainly don't ever wear one when I don't feel like I need to. And I smile a lot, man. So people can get all weird about it, but like, I'm happy, I'm fine, I'm not coughing on anybody. It's like, I feel like people are relieved from that more than they are bothered by that in general. It depends on where you're at. Jasmine said the day the first lifted the ban was liberating, but then people started complaining about those not volunteering to wear masks, and now we have to wear masks again. That's such horseshit. I just think that's horseshit. But that's what we're in right now. Got to figure out how to dance in the rain, right? And get through those situations. Okay, so I was trying to link. Let me just go to the actual page. That makes sense. Stream manager. Access denied. You don't have permission to access this page, Kevin. That's what it says to me. It began completed. You've completed it begins. What the heck? I guess I can share the screen, show you guys what I'm looking at. City commissioners all agreed to enforce masks again. Yeah, they can go fuck themselves. I never wear a mask. I understand that. It is shit. Check the link. All right, I will check you send me a new link? I don't know, all the controls, link in the chat is correct. In the messenger feed, because I literally click on it. I'll show you what I'm looking at. So there you go, Kev. That's what I'm looking at. Literally, I click on the link and it says access denied. I'm already signed into my Twitch up here. So I don't know why I am denied. Maybe you can help me figure that out, because we don't want people running into that same problem when we switch them over. So we'll just keep hanging out in here for the time being. Let's see. Kevin is enforced where you live. Let's see. Don started talking. My late mom was a registered nurse in polio wards before immunizations. Big news is a veil to cover eyes, ears, nose, mouth for droplets coming in or going out. Will block most vapors from the mouth. A lace blue veil from my forehead down, and the ill among us use a mask briefly as needed. You should check the link up top. Is this a different link? Looks like you're typing. Yeah, there's just one link in the chat you sent me since the show started, and that's the one that takes me to that page. Let's see. Jasmine says it was optional when we started opening up again. Now it's all BS. Yep. And Don's to this comment, that makes sense what you're saying. Another interesting fact, when you actually look at the data and the charts, polio was massively on its way out before vaccines were introduced. So I'm sure maybe they saved some, but it was already on its way out, where the human immunity was adapting because we have incredibly adaptive immune systems and you're not putting adjuvants into our body, like 100 plus for kids. Insane now that they do that from a baby. Like, how do you do a placebo, or how do you do a double-blind study with babies and vaccines? It's immoral to do that, right? Because we know they're safe and effective. Even though in 1986, Reagan passed an order that the actual vaccine companies were not liable. They're for-profit companies not liable for mistakes they made when they're making vaccines for the world. Yet the standards for being able to sue over vaccines are so high and so hard to actually get money for and prove it's a vaccine that did it. Yet they paid out like $40+ billion. And that was hard to get those many lawsuits and get that actually to happen. So the whole thing really is such horseshit. And people just, it's literally propaganda. Go watch the documentary Vaxxed. Think for yourself. There's a lot of shit going on there, man. That people, I mean, if you haven't even watched that, how can you even say that you have a holistic opinion on vaccines when you haven't even looked at the well-presented counter arguments? How? You can't. You can't. You're going with cultural belief and what you grew up with and what you hear on the news and what you hear from your sources. Go find. I will give you good sources. Go watch Vax, the documentary. I think they even came out with the second one. The Truth About Cancer by these other I forgot their names right now, but they have a bunch of other stuff out. There's another documentary called the Forbidden Cures of Cancer. There's like 13 they go through in there, showing how they were actually in battles in the FDA. We talked about it in another show, but it's something, information very worth watching. That one documentary, Cancer Forbidden Cures. I've watched it 4 or 5 times now with different family members, and all of them are just very like, huh. And it's definitely changed their perspective on things, just to have that additional awareness, to see the actual videos back in the 20s of the FDA viscerally going after these cancer clinics that found herbs. This one guy that found herbs, he didn't make past 5th grade. He was but he was part of his father's horse farm business, or maybe oil, or I don't know, whatever it was. But this guy's like, he was a good person. And so when they put a horse out to pasture to die because he had a massive cancer tumor, they came back weeks later and he definitely should have been dead. The cancer tumor was gone. So they watched his patterns. He was eating from a different set of grass, and they had a bunch of different herbs. So they picked the herbs and started making these tonics. They were healing people of cancer. Well, the FDA wanted to come in, investigate, and then when they found it was legitimate, they wanted to buy them out. And the only condition was to patent and whatever, is that if people can't afford it, you have to give it to them for free, because that's what he was doing in his clinics. And they obviously didn't agree to that. And so it became a battle. He's like, well, fuck you. You're not going to get my shit then. And so then literally the FDA came up with all this propaganda and everything. And it wasn't until the state attorney general of Texas, his brother or something, was dying from cancer, went to one of his clinics, got healed. Then the state attorney general is totally on their side. So he's fighting the U.S. attorney general. It was a battle for a long time. They ended up having 25 clinics across Texas and the southern United States, healing tens of thousands of people from cancer. Provably, this is on the documentary. You see the actual FDA footage, the actual FDA ads slandering this guy, and you see his ads on TV. Like back in the day, this is very new, black and white TV and advertisements. I mean, it's very real. This isn't just he said, she said, or you're just reading articles. You're seeing the actual engagements that went on the mainstream news narrative, making it look horrible and horrific what they were doing. And this is all, bunk science. And I mean, just come on, man. When you see the patterns, they do it all the time. The companies want to make money, really. And they craft the media and the narrative, and people just think, oh, okay, yeah, that's true. Makes sense to me. Anyhow, a little bit of rant. Thank you, Aaron. That felt compared to share. Yeah, totally. Real talk. Jasmine says, I wish I was more informed in vaccines before I vaccinated my son. I'm blessed that he was not harmed by them, but had a good scare with his last DTaP that he went unconscious for a while and he was groggy. Yes, it's this kind of shit. And they're just like, oh, they'll get used to it. Oh, they'll just adapt. They may be sick for a couple days. It's not because of the dead virus in there, or live virus, or whatever they put in there. It's all the adjuvants. I mean, just look through the list of vaccines and there's neurotoxins in there. Neurotoxins. Why? Why? And while we're on it, be very careful in giving your children broad spectrum antibiotics for anybody. It kills all the positive bacteria also, not just the bad. So when you do ferments and you do different things, you add positively to your gut microbiome, and you can do like the fire cider. Sasha's got a recipe that she gave me last summer that was excellent that I made, and I know Jenny Miller does that a lot too, and other people. And that's like ginger, garlic, onions, apple cider vinegar, turmeric, just a bunch of other stuff. And you grind it all up, cut it up, you put it in there, you shake it up every day for 2 weeks. You can strain that stuff out and you just sip on it. And that kills all the negative bacteria. So there's ways to do antibiotics. That one was called like the bubonic plague cure. That's what they call it back in the day when they made this fire cider. So really, nature has everything we need to heal. The environment we are born into has everything we need to harmonize our body. I'm convinced of that, let alone just in our own selves, being able to control our thoughts and meditative states and being able to get in that place. But in the meantime, at the very least, literally there is coherence with our environment. We just have lost that awareness. So, what an experience, dear one, Jasmine. Oh, he said up here, couldn't walk, then he threw up and slowly back to himself. Yeah, that's interesting, because maybe something's reacting his gut microbiome or something, and he pukes up some of the tech or the shit that was in there that was bad, and it feels a little better. Maybe that's a reaction that happens where your bodies go, nope, fuck you, vaccine. Just as a kid, right? A body, immune system, autonomous, just saying, nope, this isn't good for us. That'd be great if those vaccines don't take. This was a week after vaccinations, but he did not have anything else prior to that. Doctor ruled out stomach bug, but didn't know what it was. Yeah, because doctors are so propagandized. Do you know doctors? I've got it somewhere on Dropbox. I saved them, but Primera Blue Cross was offering. You see it in the actual doctors' insurance plans from Primera. They're getting kickbacks for every vaccine that they give out. They get massive kickbacks when a child's had 5 years of vaccines. They're getting bigger kickbacks when they've had complete 10 years of vaccines, the same child in your office. They literally get money for giving people vaccines. A for-profit company is giving the doctors money to make more money. But they're safe and effective, and they're just really good for us, right? I mean, wouldn't the doctors just purchase them and sell them at a profit? Why are they getting kickbacks? His intuition tells me that it was the vaccines. Yeah, and logic, Jasmine. Don't let just because the doctor's like, oh, I don't know, it couldn't be the vaccines. Doctors are fucking ignorant. Really, a lot of them are so ignorant of the human body. Gina was saying it on video last night, and she's right, and I feel the same way. I know more about the human body than most doctors. I do. Because I've taught myself, and I allow myself to cross disciplines. A lot of times GPs and stuff are so general, they know certain things, but they don't necessarily know how it all connects together. Others are so focused and specific on certain parts of the anatomy, and that's understandable. Like brain surgeons, different things, that's their skill set. So I'm not saying any of this is wrong. The problem is compartmentalization. So I've learned and I'm learning to study the body holistically, all of it, every piece and part, the DNA skin suit technology, if you will. So do I know everything? No, but I know the body much better because I've interacted with doctors. The average doctor has 3 hours of nutritional education in medical school. 3 hours. And we even know from Hippocrates and different people that if you heal the gut, you heal the body. All disease and sickness starts in the bowels. And I just found out, unfortunately, here that apparently Joe Rogan had recently, because there were people really buying on the gut microbiome thing, and there's different names because it's true. But Joe Rogan had somebody from WHO on there, or CDC. Basically, he gave a summary statement saying, yeah, well, we've done more studies, and basically it's not legit. That's it. Like my brother said, oh, yeah, I thought about that was good too until he said that. I'm like, what? Just because he made a summary statement about the studies he's seen, it's not legit. Oh, yeah, he must be right. Everything else I've learned about that is wrong because he said it. He's from the CDC. And I'm over exaggerating here with my brother. I don't know how seriously he took that. It's just the dynamic of like, I said, well, did you see the studies? Well, who are the studies produced by? Which studies did they throw out because they didn't have the results that they want? They do that, right? They literally do many, many studies. If the results don't go the way they want, or they're not going to be good for actually pushing a drug to market, they throw out the study, do another one that has less placebo effect affecting things. That has more randomly, it seems, that the other placebo effect is working really positively because they gave them the real vaccine and they were so convinced they're going to get better or whatever. Not just vaccine, but whatever studies, the drug. So they cherry pick studies too. I mean, come on, man. I'm not saying all of them. It's just you can't just take people's word for shit. Go look at the studies they are summarizing. There's a really good one. I'm going to pull it up here. Sorry, Kev. We'll get back to that thing too in a second. The 2012 Bioinitiative Report. 2012 Bioinitiative. Wait. Bioinitiative Report. There it is. Let's share this one. Hi, guys. So the 2012 Bioinitiative Report. A rationale for biologically based exposure standards for low-intensity electromagnetic radiation. Report updated 2014 to 2020. Awesome. So they're even keeping up with it. There's read the report, download the report. They do a summary in it at the end. I'm going to try to see, we'll just see from their website here what the Bio-12 Initiative report has been prepared by 29 authors from 10 countries, 10 holding medical degrees, MDs, 21 PhDs, and 3 MSCs, MAs, or MPHs. Among the authors are 3 former presidents of the Bioelectromagnetic Society and 5 full members of BEMS. So what they did, I believe, is they took those reports, summary reports. Why we care? Do we know enough to take action? How to read this? Hello. All right. There's more evidence than we need. The last 5 years worth of scientific studies tells us the situation is much worse than 2007, and yet people around the world have so much more daily exposure than even 5 years ago. Exposures are linked to a variety of adverse health outcomes that may have significant public health consequences. When added across billions of people worldwide, no argument for the status quo can be persuasive now. In 21 technical chapters of this 2012 update, the contributing authors discuss the content implications of about 1,800 new studies. Overall, there is reinforced scientific evidence of risk where there is chronic exposure to low-intensity electromagnetic fields and to wireless technologies, radiofrequency radiation, including microwave radiation. There is more evidence in 2012 that such exposure damages DNA, interfere with DNA repair, and evidence of toxicity to the human genome or the genes. More worrisome effects on the nervous system and neurology, and more and better studies on the effects of mobile phone-based stations, wireless antenna facilities, or cell towers that report lower RFR levels over time can result in adverse health impacts. There's been a big increase in the number of studies looking at the effects of cell phones or on the belt or in the pocket of men radiating only on standby mode, and from wireless laptops impacts to sperm quality and motility and sperm death, fertility, and reproduction. In other new studies of the fetus, infant and young child, and child in school, there are a dozen or more new studies of importance. The 2007 Bioinitiative report was prepared by world-recognized experts in science and public health policy. Outside reviewers also contributed valuable content and perspectives. It was concluded even in 2007 that existing public safety limits were inadequate to protect public health, and agreed that new biologically based public health safety limits were needed 5 years ago. The public health cost of doing nothing was judged to be unacceptable in 2007. This did nothing to change the rules nor roll back the technology tsunami of wireless everywhere. And listen, the main argument here is that it's non-ionizing radiation. And people think they throw that statement out and they think they know what they're talking about. Because if it's not ionizing, it's not affecting your DNA. Therefore, it doesn't cause any damage. No, it does. It really does. And it does affect your DNA. That's what they're saying. Listen, what they found in this, I'm glad they've updated. I may have to go through it here since they've updated through 2020. But when they go through this report back through 2012, they reviewed, I think, like 1,000 telecom studies. The studies that were already done, they just reviewed them because this is why you don't just take someone's word. They read a study or quote a study. You need to look at the nuances of that study and read for yourself. You're smart. Really, read a few studies. You'll start to get it. You'll see like, oh, I didn't even know they did this. I didn't even know that this thing happened too. Why don't they mention this part? Because they highlight what they were paid for. They highlight the good results. They minimize the bad results that are not ultimately for their top dollar. It makes sense. It's a good business model. I'm not judging them for that. Just you guys understand what's coming out. You can't just buy things hook, line, and sinker because some professional said it. I mean, it's just... All right. So the levels of exposure we faced in 2012 are higher and have crept into everyday life. Even for children, the levels at which undesirable effects of unhealth and well-being are seen is much lower. The levels of concern have dropped lower in 2012 by 10 to hundreds of times. There is much greater involuntary exposure and is nearly unavoidable even for people who choose not to go wireless. Secondhand radiation effects. Safe forms of communication by landline telephone are being phased out without general public knowledge or agreement. There's no informed consent for consumers. Warning labels on cell phones, for example, have been defeated by telecom industry lobby groups. Yeah, funny how that works. Also, did you know in your actual back of your manuals, iPhone, Samsung, doesn't matter, whatever phone you have, read through the manual. It will tell you, do not put the phone up to your head. It is known to cause damage. You're supposed to hold it at least 2 centimeters away or whatever it says. Half a centimeter away or something, but they literally, even if it's half a centimeter, they legally had to put that in there because they know it'll fuck you up. And so they found out in the study reviewing this, based on reviewing this objectively, just the studies that have already been done, the levels of radiation that we say are too much or what's dangerous and not dangerous are 1,000 times too lenient. They should be far more stringent, 1,000 times. I mean, you can look online. Actual people present this really, really well time and time. Girls who wear their phone in their bra, they will get cancer tumors right on the certain points of their phone where the antennas are. My past partner's grandfather got lung cancer, non-small cell lung cancer. One of the tumors that he had in his chest where he put his phone all the time. It was literally like a centimeter bigger all the way around than his phone was. He's also surrounded by computers. He's very much a tech guy, and he was around his computers all the time, and there's tremendous amounts of dirty energy, dirty electricity. That's high-frequency transients on the energy. It's very provable, very repeatable, very showable. There are wall warts from Graham Stetzer that you can get that will actually neutralize the high-frequency transients. Anything over 2,000 hertz, I think it's 2,000 hertz, is biologically damaging. It damages biological life. So anyway, this goes on and on. Here's the resource, though, guys. I'll send you the link in the chat because it's an awesome resource, and I have found incredible resources over time, and some of them I forget about, and some of them might come back to memory when it's relevant. So, let's see, delayed reaction, getting back to the vaccine things, very negative experiences. And we worry that the air from the sky, air quality too. Yeah, I had a full scholarship and tuition paid for to go to vocational college and be a pharmacy technician. Even had grant money waiting for me upon graduation. 1 month away from finishing, I quit. It was a joke. They even showed us how Big Pharma makes money off fake illnesses and adverse effects caused by other drugs and keeping people on drugs. Really, they showed you that in there, and they just think people are like, oh yeah, that's just okay. Drugs that only harm them more. Yeah. I'm pretty sure, Sam says, I'm pretty sure that illness like me, fibromyalgia and other autoimmune illnesses are being caused by vaccines. Yeah, I've listened to some other doctors who've really started to study the immune system and things, and it's just, there's so much more. They've way oversimplified it. There's so many other things in our body that we haven't identified that are likely causing roles in this. And again, the adjuvants and the things in vaccines actually damage your immune system. Full spectrum antibiotics damage your immune system. They just, I mean, it's barbaric technology. It's ignorant. Just drop a nuke in there. Like chemo, insane. Do you know how much they make off each chemo patient? Like $30,000 a month. Of course they recommend it to everybody. Let's go drop nuclear bombs into your body and into your blood. And once you've destroyed the whole city, the terrorist cells inside the city, if you will, the cancer cells, but you've also destroyed the water infrastructure and the garbage infrastructure, taking garbage out of the city. You've destroyed everything. And you're just hopeful that your society, your own body's immune system can rebuild faster than the cancer. Wow, that sounds like a great way to handle cancer, guys. Insane. It's literally insane. Watch the documentary Cancer, the Forbidden Cures. There's so many other ways to cure it. They don't want you to know. Literally, it shows that, how they shut that down in the FDA, and they just went out and totally character assassinated these people because they were producing a cure, something that could help, and they were giving it away for free if people couldn't afford that. Well, that's unacceptable. They need to make money off that. Assholes. Desmond say, yes, they more than likely are, Sammy. Live seems all stimulus in this realm 3D duality is to notice how live has strength to keep us alive, even in these exquisite beauty and horrific timers live. I stopped. Besides, you're on a roll anyways. Got to learn all that shit. I'll work on it and figure it out. All right, that's cool. Yeah, because let's see if I hit it again. It says access denied. Yeah, it says access denied. So I don't know if there's a setting on there that you made it private or something, but you think if you're sharing the link that it would take it to the right spot. So that's fine. I'm glad we tried to get that going tonight and just keep working on it and we'll get it to work. I really miss my voice inflection over text typing. Oh, I know. Isn't that hard? That's why I come up with like these emojis or certain things to try to really emphasize the way I'm saying it. Kevin says it was streaming fine. I think Aaron's access was blocked for some reason. All good. All good to you. I've stopped the stream. Yeah, apparently mine was blocked. Maybe it's settings on mine. It was like an adult channel or something. Why would I have like default kid settings on mine? I don't really know. I'd be blocked. Don says, Ed Aaron, haha, you're fabulous at reading our chat text on the fly, pun intended. You fly high vibe. Thank you. Amazing, really, of you, among others, truly. Oh, it's nice, Don. Don's. Day after day for hours and hours. Yeah, it's true. I do it all day long, create caregiving plus, but I do it in person and don't have to get a device to communicate. 3D duality balance to center between organic and synthetic, live, no rehearsals. Yep. Phone is always in my purse if I carry it. Another thing you guys can do is just put your phone in airplane mode. It helps. You're still giving off. They show you're still giving off signals. NSA can still track you when you're in airplane mode. If they want to. There's different things in there, but it definitely has less signals. And also, two things. So just like there's some simple things you can do with your phone. Anytime you can wear wired headsets is always better because you're only getting the electric frequencies, not the magnetic too. And if you're streaming from your phone, like I'm hotspotting right here because I misplaced my Ethernet plug-in for my computer, which sucks. I'm gonna have to like find that immediately, or I'm gonna run out of mobile data here really quick in the next day or two. So I'm gonna find that. Anyway, but when you're streaming, so like between my phone and the tablet, there's a massive, massive radiation stream going between the two. So if you're streaming to your TV, you don't want your phone near you at all. You don't want to be between your phone and the TV at all. There's like 1,000 times more radiation coming constantly when you're streaming. So being able to keep yourself out of the way of that stream. Also, if you're in a place where there's no signal, your phone massively amplifies its power to find signal. So massively outputs the signal more intensely, so it's sending more radiation out. So if you've got no signal, then just put your phone in airplane mode. It'll stop searching for a signal. So there's little things you can do. If you can turn your phone off when you don't need it. I can't do that. That's not. I use my phone literally nonstop all day, every day. So I do these other little things. You can do Faraday cage shields. You can actually line your pockets with silver lined cloth and things that will reflect back the radiation away from your body. So there are things that can be done practically, not just like, oh my gosh, we're fucked. Because the way they did that stuff. So there are things to be done. It just takes time and learning things and what you can apply and works. Don says center and be of good cheer wherever possible. Yes. Jasmine says we stopped taking flu shots and pharmaceuticals and don't plan on ever taking them. I will forever look for alternative medicines. I haven't taken a flu shot. I mean, maybe when I was a kid. Well, like I don't even know when they start recommending them, but I don't think I've ever gotten one. Because it's just, why? They even say like the flu changes every year and constantly mutates. Like, why? Especially when we looked into vaccines. Like, why would I risk damaging my immune system, all sorts of shit for like, oh, maybe I might get the flu and have a shitty week, but I'll be fine. But let me get this vaccine. And a lot of times people get the flu anyway, or the vaccine gives them the flu-like symptoms. But at least it was only 3 days instead of 7. Yeah, or maybe we could have had none. Do you know I've not gotten the flu? I've gotten the flu like one time, and it might have been the COVID thing or whatever. It was last summer, but like it was really intense. I was coughing so much I bruised my ribs. It was awful. I could barely breathe for days. But other than that, like I haven't gotten sick in 10 years. I mean, when I have gotten sick, it's been specific things. I know what's going on. I'm fasting or purging or something going on. But like this one time I got the flu out of nowhere was the first time in like 10 years. No vaccines, none of that shit. Apricot kernels, I think that's one of them that's in the documentary. Oregon Energy, yes, that's William Reich. Yeah, there you go. So you're talking about. I've got the stats to prove it, brah. Yep, it's true. That is one of them. The jasmine, I have a couple of pyramids. Yes, you do. You got some cool ones, Kev. I keep them on the right and left of my desk where I spend most of my time. Yeah, and I've got, I mean, I got a lot of different shit. I've got this one recently, put this around the fire. I can show you guys. And that one, I'm not sure what the stone is offhand, but it looks like fire a lot, and I super dig that. And I've got that on the CNC'd wood sacred geometry piece. And then on some, what's it called? A certain type of carbon. Someone found in Russia, black, the black stone over there. Got some Herkimer diamonds. It's a little smoky because I've resined and incensed the outside of it over time. This is labradorite. Where's the pretty colors? Oh, there you kind of see them there. See that? Beautiful. That's my ancestor stone. And a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, they all do different things, and it's really how you connect with them and find engagement with them. Oh, okay, that was the last comment so far. And it's funny because I'm seeing on my screen on YouTube that I'm showing the stone that was showing like 20 seconds ago, just because there's a delay. Shungite. Okay, see, I see that in the chat here. There it is. Now it showed up. Yes, shungite. So that is what I was saying. I've got a bunch of different pieces. And shungite is made, I believe, of carbon C60 primarily, and that's why it's so special. Because carbon C60 is like a buckyball, and it actually is incredibly healing for your DNA and super beneficial in ways. It's also the same carbon C60 footprint that they found on the Egyptian pyramids, because there's different ways of interacting with lightning and light in carbon and transmutation that produces this specific type of carbon. Joseph says, I used to get sick a lot before I started being aware and awake. Before I quit pharmacy school, I had thyroid fever, put me in bed rest, or typhoid fever, put me in bed rest for a month and couldn't walk. Yikes. It's interesting. You were sick a lot before you stopped taking pharmaceuticals, and then you stopped, and then you were not as sick, because that's weird, right? And it's not to me, but I feel like so people are like, that's weird. How'd you get better after you stopped taking vaccines? That's literally how indoctrinated we are as people. We don't know any better. People don't. It's just when they take hardline stances and they're not open to new information, and also when we present information belligerently or super intensely. And it's nice. I mean, dynamics like this in the show, we can be a little more preachy, I guess, but like in regular interactions. Yeah. So, well, I don't know, guys. Maybe just call it a night. Then Kevin will keep working on a Zoom channel and Twitch channel, and hopefully we'll get that going this week and participate in there. I wear silver shungite. Silver also conducts electricity. Yes, it does. Or shungite does. Yes, it does. There's silver shungite? You mean like shungite embedded with silver or surrounded in silver? or it's an actual different type of shungite, because that'd be interesting. I haven't heard of silver shungite. Shungite. Okay, guys, I'm feel like I was able to go through a little rant spiel. Hopefully that was beneficial to you guys. I haven't talked about those stuff in detail in, I don't know, a couple years. So it's kind of nice to dig up old stuff, especially when they updated that report. Also from that report, let's put that back up there because that's something. So by 2012 Bioinitiative report, I guess we gotta do it like that so you can actually read it. And there we go. Actually, in that case, yeah, there you go. So, so the and she said, Dawn said, not actual different type. It's not actually a different type. Dear one, Aaron. So yeah, maybe it's just different grade. I know the different grades of shungite. So maybe that's what you're referring to. And it's more basically the higher the grade, the quality, the more conductive it is, the more pure of more carbon C60, I believe. But so 2012 Bioinitiative report, after they reviewed this and they put their own standards out just to the world, right? But this is put out through the Netherlands, I think, is where they hosted a lot of these studies or something. And those countries took it very seriously. Not the US, not Europe, not the EU, which is the European Union or whatever they call it, versus expanded understanding, the EU. Yeah, silver shungite says is 90%, 5% buckyballs, so it's one of the more refined shungites, which makes sense. But after this, I believe in France, they took Wi-Fi out of all elementary schools. They made it illegal because of the report, because it's actual evidence, and they're like, what the fuck? What have we been doing to our people? Right? In actual Sweden, I think they made EMS, electromagnetic sensitivity, an actual disease, because it is like an actual, when you contract this disease from being exposed, some people are more sensitive than others. And so we find out they're living near power lines, they're living near cell phone towers, and they're just tired and sick all the time. It literally is their environment. And sometimes they have to build Faraday cages out of their homes. And there's really cool ways to do that, to block out a lot of that radiation and out of your wires and just out of your house. You shield the windows and stuff, but they're just a clear film that has a reflective layer. It just bounces back most of the radio waves, and there's just different ways to do it. You line foil in the walls. Ideally, when you're building it, it's the way to do it. And not like tin foil. I mean, you can line different types of foil that's kind of pre-made for those things, and shield your home to bounce back a lot of signals. Actually wearing a Faraday cage, which is just basically anything that's metal or silver laced or lined or cloth, but covering your whole body. So it actually, the frequencies all go around the outside of that shell, and they don't affect you inside of the Faraday cage, which is the concept behind that, which is very effective and very true and works very well for those type of frequencies. So yeah, just understand, guys, there's other information out there. There's other perspectives that are not just like conspiracy theories. Like they said, there's like 28 doctors, MDs, PhDs from multiple countries, dozen plus countries, coming to just review the information that's already presented, but has been cherry picked and skewed to create laws that are bullshit, that are 1,000 times too unsafe, their limits. And they already tell you at those 1,000 times too unsafe, or it's not unsafe, or where it's unsafe, but they say it's safe, they tell you, do not put the phone up to your head. And it's like 1,000 times lower than the standard should be. So I don't know, man. Think for yourself. Make your own decisions about any of that stuff. You know, to each their own. I have my own millions of nuances of doing shit, the ways that I do it, and everybody's got their own, man. So you got to find what works for you. The amazing thing about this is it has a 0 point in the geometric shape that math can't explain. So many examples. I bet you can. I just bet you they don't. They just don't know what it is. The actual explanation: shungite buckyballs, Westminster Fuller. Yeah, Buckminster Fuller. I think Buckminster. It's what they're called, buckyballs. Buckminster Fuller. I don't know. Let me look it up real quick. Yeah, Buckminster Fuller. Geodesic domes, buckyballs, Buckminster Fuller Institute. Buckminster Fuller Institute. Challenge. What's the challenge? Welcome to the Buckminster Fuller Challenge archive. Here you'll find comprehensive history of the Buckminster Fuller program and curated archive of the best of entries reviewed by the program for 2007-2017, making visible the vibrancy and dedication of an emerging field of comprehensive whole system designs. This searchable archive is offered as a resource and a tool for educators, the design community, and the general public to use to discover the remarkable ideas and successful projects at work in the world today. See, I didn't need a mask, guys. So he's got a lot of, let's see, they have like, oh, there we go. Design. Hey, I'm back if you're still here, but I was just saying that stream dropped out. That was my hotspot data. Obviously, I still got data. It just dropped out, but that's a decent cutoff. So I think we'll just call it a night, guys. And love you guys too. Sweet dreams. Dawn said, sweet dreams. Aaron, night, Aaron, love you. Thank you. Love you guys too. Later, livers. Yeah, so we'll call it a night. Love you guys very, very much. And same bat time, same bat channel, which is about 8 p.m., give or take. Didn't go, yeah. But I'm going now. We're going. So you guys have a wonderful night and a wonderful life. And I'll love you too, Willow. And love you guys very much. And we got all sorts of connections. We got the Expand Understanding Facebook group, and we got multiple threads going that people are part of in different ways on Facebook chats and our Facebook Messenger. We're gonna get the Twitch stream going, do more music stuff. So there's a lot of cool shit. And I will eventually, sorry, I've totally been failing. This weekend just got super fucked for me. Super fucked. So otherwise I was gonna do the Ubuntu thing. I'll do that very soon, and the Aaron's ailment alignment very soon. Just getting some shit in my life figured out. So love you guys very, very much, and we will see you again tomorrow night. Mwah.